Baby, don't you let no pastor on this app make you think that giving to the poor is not a high priority in the kingdom of heaven. As a matter of fact, God takes that incredibly seriously. And you should be afraid to be sitting up under any minister that is encouraging you not to give to the poor and to give to them instead. I have a ministry that God gifted me with called Covered by God. And not only do I very rarely even take an offering, I pay for all of it out of pocket. But more importantly, when people do want to sow into our ministry, I have said since the conception of this ministry, your money is no good at Covered by God until you give to the poor, because I wanted to create a culture of people who are already incredibly selfish, who are already incredibly greedy, and who by nature serve mammon, to break that and think of somebody else less fortunate than they are. With that being said, sure, you might not get the monetary value of your money and it might not double and increase, but God does promise that he does give seed to the sower, right? But here's another promise that I think is very important. Go with me to Psalms 41. Now, you're going to need this promise, especially right now. This is very important for you to know. Now, of course, you might not get paid back double when you give to the poor, but Psalms 41 offers something a lot more wealthier than you getting your money back. It says, "Blessed is he that considereth the poor. The Lord will deliver him in the time of trouble." That's your first promise. "The Lord will preserve him and keep you alive." That's your second and third promise. "He shall be blessed upon the earth." That's your fourth promise. "And thou wilt not deliver him unto the will of his enemies." All of that because you gave to the poor? Then go with me to Acts chapter 10. Now there's a man here named Cornelius. Cornelius, the Bible says in verse 2, was a devout man, one who feared God with all of his house, and which gave much alms to the people and prayed to God always, right? This is important for you to know. He was a devout man. He feared God. He gave much alms to the people. What is alms? Giving to the poor. And he prayed always. But here's what's important. In verse 4, he was praying and an angel came down to visit him. He was actually fasting as well. And the angel says to Cornelius, "Your prayers and your alms have come up as a memorial before God." This lets me know that not only did his prayers get the attention of heaven, but how he gave to the poor got the attention of God. This is not old covenant that I just read out of you guys. That was new covenant. That was Acts chapter 10. That even in his giving to the poor, it made God say, that's come up as a memorial before me because I consider them that give to the poor. Everything that sounds good is not God. God has not changed his mind about the poor, and God has not changed his mind about how you give to the poor. It is not the will of God for you to turn your back on his poor to give to a church. I don't care what nobody out here say. It's not the will of God for you to do that. And according to Psalms 41, you are promised some things when you consider the poor that you are not promised if you give to your church. So keep that into account. Y'all got to be careful out here because these people just be saying